Hello my friends, welcome to Canadian Immigration Channel, and this video is about the possibility to immigrate to Canada with no money or practically with the lesser amount of money compared to federal skilled worker program requirements. Let me comment on where it is all coming from first, because more and more applicants are coming to me telling me that, you know what, due to the economical circumstances and situation in the country, due to instability of the country, it's difficult to have money being kept in the bank. It's difficult to actually accumulate the required amount of funds for federal skilled worker program in consequence of for express entry, and so on, right? And I believe we've been discussing it here and there in private consultations, so I thought that maybe it's a good time to have this discussion in public and tell you what your options are, so that you would understand at least where you could go and what are the possibilities for you. Now, having said that you could immigrate to Canada without money, it's practically not right, because at the end of the day you would have to pay government fees, you would have to pay for medical assessment, you would have to pay for your language test exam, you would have to pay for educational credentials assessment, and at every single step you would still have to pay, unfortunately, right? So in this circumstance, saying that it would be free or almost free immigration, it's not entirely correct, but it would be still cheaper in respect to the proof of funds required by federal skilled worker program. So let us start from the practically or like close to free options. You would not have to demonstrate that you got enough funds in your pocket if you have a valid job offer in Canada, which means that this job offer is supported by Labor Market Impact Assessment, LMIA for short, and you have a work permit to work in Canada. So in this circumstance, you do not have to demonstrate that you have enough funds in your account. Another circumstance, if you're applying as a Canadian Experience class, you also would not have to demonstrate that you have enough funds in your pocket. So you don't have to show to officers that X amount of money has been sitting in your bank and you got this bank statement and transactions history. Now, speaking of other possibilities that are not so cheap, but again, like still easier requirements than federal skilled worker program, we could look at the pilots. Atlantic Pilot, for example, just for you to compare the proof of funds requirements. Federal skilled worker program, almost 13,000 Canadian dollars for one person, versus Atlantic Pilot, where you have to demonstrate for one person 3,240 Canadian dollars as of now. Now, you could also have a look at provincial programs. When it comes down to provincial programs, you got to be careful though, right? More and more provinces are sticking to the requirement of federal officers and saying, you know what, they're quite justified in terms of the economical requirements and realities in the province. So speaking of which, we believe that, you know, what federal government is saying is absolutely true. But if you look at the some of the programs, for example, Manitoba, their requirements for proof of funds would be lower than those of the federal government. So again, if you're looking to evaluate your chances, assess your chances, right, have a look at what provinces may require. For example, again, Quebec, right, they have absolutely different requirements for proof of funds, which is significantly lower than the requirements of federal government. If I were you, I would just sit and compare the options and see what else could be done. And last but not least, remember we were speaking about the deed of gift where your relatives are giving you money, so you could use that opportunity. And you know what? In the circumstance when you own a property in your home country, you could use that, not the evaluation of the property though, but you still can use that to help you with the proof of funds, and here's how. For example, you borrow money, but you borrow money on the equity of your property. So in this circumstance, you are not lying to officers stating that this money are borrowed, because this money are yours, right? For example, your property is evaluated for and cost $50,000. You borrow something from somebody for 25 grand for the property, right? So the property's equity is a guarantee that you would return this money to the person. So in this sense, this $25,000, $20,000 doesn't really matter. The amount of money you borrowed from the person is actually yours, and you could demonstrate it to officer, and you could use this money as a proof of funds. If you would like to discuss your own personal circumstances, what to do, how to deal with this, feel free to drop us a line and we'll be glad to help you out. Stay tuned with us, and of course, subscribe for the channel.